Hello, welcome to Quarrelsome Rhinoceros Stitches episode 11. My name is Monica, I'm the host. If you are a new viewer, thank you for checking out the podcast. This is a podcast about knitting and other crafty things in general. But I am pretty stuck on knitting right now. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much. Today I will get to works in progress, finished objects, and then I do have a couple of acquisitions, but they're both just patterns. I haven't bought any yarn in quite a while. But I am going to Belfast today, which is down on the coast. I forgot to mention, I live in Maine, which is in the very northeast of the United States. And often gets mistaken for Canada by people who don't know geography. Let me actually just adjust you here because I think you are not level. Oops. Alright, sorry about that. So, this right here, he's kind of out of the shot now. I should have introduced him when he was sitting up. But this is Kelsier. He is my 7-year-old lab border collie mix. We spend most of our time right here in this room together. Yeah. Yesterday we went outside because it was like a gorgeous, beautiful day outside. And we went out and sat by the tree in our backyard, and it was great fun, except that Kelsier hadn't had his anxiety medication, so he couldn't really settle down, so the nap that I had planned in the shade was not fated to be yesterday. Anyway, I'll probably get more into what I've been doing lately in another section of the podcast. Anyway, so I think we should get right into it because I do have quite a few things to talk about today. I have 2 finished objects that you didn't see as works in progress. I have a partially finished object, and I have several works in progress. So I'm sorry if you can hear that noise outside. I have quite literally no idea what it is. My window is open though because it is a really, really nice day outside. Anyway, whatever. So, let's start with finished objects. It sounds like some sort of woodworking tool. Anyway, so I'm going to start off with the first finished object. Both of these things, where did I put the tags? I'm a very prepared podcaster today, can you tell? So both of these things are patterns of my own making. The first one I will share is a hat. So this one, can you see it? There we go. So I'm calling this the Mossy Forest hat. It is a cable and moss stitch pattern. This version is probably going to be the large size. It is quite big. I made it so that it doesn't really slouch very much, but it's easily adjustable. The pattern is easily adjustable. Just do more of the cable chart repeats to make it more slouchy. I knit this with 2 different size needles. I knit the brim with US 6, which brought this over so I could look, because I don't know what the millimeter is off the top of my head. The US 6 is a 4mm, so I knit the modified knit to purl to rib on 4mm, and then the hat on 8mm. So yeah, it's got this wonderful, I actually am very proud of how the decreases turned out, because I wasn't sure that I could get it to decrease well at all. Just because of the number of stitches in the pattern, and I didn't know how I was going to make that work. But I did, and I did write it down. I have to test it again just to make sure that I wrote it down properly. And speaking of testing it again, I am going to call for test knitters for this hat, mostly because I'm going to try and do more than one size of it, and I want to know how the other sizes work out. If I were to knit this specific one again, I probably would have done one more cable repeat before I started the decreases, or I would have done like a half repeat, because it's just not, it fits my head for perfectly fine, and actually I probably would have done a different size, just because it is so loose. I don't know if I can demonstrate really on camera, but that's how loose the thing is. So it may very well easily fall off in the winter, but anyway, it's a really nice, I really like the cable pattern. It's interesting enough that I didn't get bored knitting it, which was good. But yeah, so there's that. This is the Mossy Forest hat. Expect a pattern and a call for test knitters fairly soon. I'm almost done. I made the chart yesterday, and I'm almost done. I just need to write up the pattern. Like, I just need to write up the directions in the chart so that there's a charted and a full directions version. So there's that. I forgot to tell you what yarn it is. So this yarn is by Madeline Tosh. It is the Tosh Chunky in the colorway Mill Pond. See the Tosh Chunky Mill Pond. Tosh Chunky, it says chunky weight, which to me, I thought that meant bulky. But I'm almost certain that this is an Aran weight yarn. I got a very similar stitch gauge to an Aran weight yarn. So this is what it looks like knit up in stockinette. That's how I did my, see, I still got a fairly loose fabric, obviously, because you can see the light behind it, but yeah, so, yeah, I'm really excited for that. So this is done with the bigger needles with the size 8. And I actually really like the loose sort of fabric for it. And it still gives really good stitch definition. But honestly, any Aran weight yarn would suffice for this, obviously. So yeah, so there's my first finished object, the Mossy Forest hat, and I still have a substantial amount. It's like 29 grams or something like that after the gauge swatch and the hat. But yeah, so I still have a fair amount of that yarn. I don't think I'm going to do anything specifically with it, but I may wind it off into a mini skein and put it aside for something. My second finished object is also an Aran weight garment. It's a shawl. I don't think I've shared any photos of it yet on social media. I think I may have shared a photo on it on one of my stories once. So here is the shawl. It is a triangle shawl with several different textures and 2 different colors of yarn. And the yarn I used is the Plymouth Yarn Company's Homestead line. So I used the Homestead and I used the Homestead Tweed. Both of these are Aran weight yarns, as far as I can tell. I'm really sorry if you can hear that outside. Maybe I should close that for now. Anyway, yeah, anyway, so, the yarn, so this red color is called Merlot, and then, or this reddy purple, and then this is charcoal tweed. Anyway, I am in the process of writing up the pattern for this. It is a very, I mean, it is an Aran weight shawl, so it is really warm, but it also, I knit it on, let's see, I knit it on a US 11, which is an 8mm needle, so that I could get this sort of gauzy fabric, even though it is Aran weight. Yeah, anyway, so there are three different sections to this shawl, and it is my arm's length, so it should be about 60 inches across, and I think it's like 35 inches long. So there's that. The pattern for this one is going to come out soon, and I am going to call for test knitters, but I'm not sure when exactly, and I'm not sure when exactly I'm going to have the test knitting deadlines be yet. I haven't decided. It is a really quick knit. I ended up knitting this in 2 days of knitting, and I think that's all it took. There's 100 rows, 102 rows or something like that in it, and because it's Aran weight yarn, it works up really super quick. Aran weight in a really big needle, and it works up super quick. So there's that. And I guess I should show you this. So I also knit the gauge swatch for this one, and like you can tell, it's the same, I'm almost positive that it is the same weight of yarn used in both of these projects. You can just tell that I used it's very difficult to see, there we go, a much bigger needle for this. And that's fine. This is funny, this is the first thing I've ever steam blocked. I was skeptical about steam blocking, but it seems to have actually worked, so yay! I pretty much immersion block everything that I make, mostly because I am washing it to get all of the like stray dog hairs off of it, basically. Anyway, so there's no point to not immersion blocking, if that makes sense. It doesn't really. Anyway, yes, so, that is that. So those are my 2 finished objects. And hopefully very soon I will have some more. Because I have 3 other shawls planned. One of them is a fingering weight shawl, one of them is a DK weight shawl. Actually 2 are fingering weight, 1 is DK. But yeah, so I have a couple others planned, and I still haven't really come up with a name for the triangle shawl yet. I've been calling it Triangle Shawl, and I feel like that's probably not a good name to call it. But yeah, I'm sure I'll come up with a name by the time I have to release the pattern. So, let's move on to works in progress. So, there we go. I can't find one of my works in progress. I don't really know where I put it, which is a little disconcerting. Anyway, so I showed this, so I showed you this sock a little while ago. I cast on the second one. I'm doing this with 64 stitches on a US 2.25 millimeter. And I'm actually using this, I don't know, you can sort of tell that the stitches are a little wonky. I'm using this to test continental knitting because I am an English style knitter, and so I'm using it to test continental, but yeah, the I don't know, it's not faster yet just because I've just started learning continental, but I can see where it would be faster for people who have practiced a lot. So these socks are not going to match, and I am perfectly okay with that. I don't really like matching socks anyway. Ask my grandmother. So yeah, so they're about 10 rows off of being perfectly matching, which is perfectly fine by me. I am okay with that. But yeah, so I'm excited. This is going to be my first true afterthought heel. I didn't put any waste yarn in. I just kept knitting a tube until I thought it looked okay. And then I'm probably not going to do contrasting. I'm probably just going to snip in and use the same yarn that I'm using, which I didn't actually talk about. You have seen it before on the podcast. I feel like when I have the same things to show, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but I guess I should every time for those new viewers. So this is Regia in the design line by Arnie and Carlos. It is the color number 03655, which is Autumn Nights. So I really like that it looks, it's very colorful, first of all, and it looks like I spent so much time doing color work and I didn't have to do any color work. I know a lot of other people have used the Arnie and Carlos yarns, and I may actually pick up a couple more balls, or maybe even just one more ball, while I'm in Belfast today. We shall see. But yes, there is that. So, next, you can't really see it, he's off camera, but he's laying like right against my back. He's very cute. Next, what I'm going to show you is my sort of partially finished object. I have a right front piece of my Koru cardigan. I am almost done. I'm so excited. So here is the right front piece. I've already finished the left front piece. Oh, it's difficult. Yes, so not only did I finish that, but I cast on the back piece. So here is the back piece. It's really funny because after doing the front two pieces, memorizing the the lace chart for the back piece was a piece of cake. Piece. So yeah, it was really easy to memorize the chart for the back piece, and I really like this little cable detail on the side of the lace detail. And yeah, so I'm really enjoying this part. I still have quite a ways to go before it actually is a back piece, and this took me like a full day of knitting, and I actually haven't picked anything up really other than my Arnie and Carlos sock, my vanilla afterthought everything sock, afterthought heel sock. So yeah, I haven't picked anything else up because I sort of burnt myself out on knitting a little bit, just because I did all of this in one day. There is a lot of stitches on here, if you can tell. I did all of this in one day, and it took a very long time, and I burnt myself out a little bit. I am going to bring this to work on at my grandmother's house tonight, the pattern is called the Koru cardigan. It's Koru, Koru cardigan, by Frenchie of Aroha Knits, and I'm doing it on a US 5, I think, which is a 3.75 millimeter needle. I'm actually doing this on my Knit Picks, which I don't actually like using. My Knit Picks interchangeable set. I really don't like the cables on the Knit Picks needles, so I don't like using them. As soon as I bought my Chow Gu set, I have not used any other needles. That's pretty much, I really just love these Chow Gus. I love the cables on them. And yeah, anyway, so there's that. I really want a set of the sock twists, or whatever they're called, the interchangeable sock set. I really want one of those. But yeah, anyway, I'm knitting this cardigan out of a Knit Picks yarn. It is the gloss fingering. It's in a colorway called Honey. It's a merino silk, 70 merino, 30 silk blend. So yeah, they come in 50-gram balls, so I had like 8 of them. So yeah. That's actually one of the reasons why I cast on this sweater, because the yardage said that I would need for the size I wanted to knit, that I would only need like 300, close to 350 grams or something like that. So hopefully I'll have enough yarn. I still have 5 balls left, and I haven't finished the back, and I haven't done the sleeves. So hopefully I'll have enough for all of that. But yeah, I'm very close to halfway done with the body shaping on the back panel of this sweater, and I probably won't get to wear it until it gets to be about fall again, because it's starting to get really warm here already, and I don't think that there's going to be any cold snaps probably for the rest of until fall. So anyway, next I will talk a little bit about acquisitions. I don't have too many. Kelsey, what did you do with my phone? Here it is. He didn't do anything with my phone. So I have 2 patterns to talk about that I bought recently. So I have 2 friends on Instagram, and one of them, and I think they both have podcasts, but I'm not sure. So one of them is Suzanne from the Green Lambkin podcast. And she just released a new, hopefully this will actually show up. She just released a new sock pattern. It's called the Wingardium Leviosa socks. I don't have a printer, so I can't actually just print these off for you. But, oh, my camera battery is flashing at me. Hold please. Sorry. So, I couldn't remember to plug my phone in, or my camera in beforehand. Anyway, so here is, again, the Wingardium Leviosa socks by Green Lambkin Yarns. And here is her. There we go. So, I bought actually some yarn from Green Lambkin. Earlier this year I did my Cosmic Wonder socks. And they are just a vanilla sock, but I absolutely love the colors in it. Anyway, and I watch her podcast. But but she's been talking about these socks for ages and I've wanted to knit them. And I think I am going to follow the pattern exactly. Normally I do a German short row heel, but she does a heel flap and gusset, but she does a longer heel flap, and I wonder if that may help my issues with socks fitting right with a heel flap and gusset. Anyway, so there's that. I'm going to try and follow the pattern completely. And then the other thing that I have is a crescent shawl, and it's by, oh my gosh, my brain is not working. It is by my friend Michelle, on Instagram. She is Gifted Goodies, and she just released a shawl pattern, and it's got a lovely lace texture and a stockinette section, and it's a crescent shawl, and it's fairly small. It's a small, like one skein shawl. So there's her picture of. But yeah, so I do have a plan for that one. For the Wingardium Leviosa socks, I'm not actually sure what I want to use for yarn yet. Oh, Kelsey, you're in my way. Oh, you're so cute. But also in my way. Oh, okay. Sorry. Kelsey loves getting in my way. So this is a yarn that I was thinking about using. The color is not showing up right. Oh, it's because those lights are on. Hold on. Again. Oh, it's okay. You don't have to move, bud. So, oh, there we go. So, this is called, what is the name? It's like Cosmic Rainbow Speckle or something like that. It's by On the Round, which is a local indie dyer, actually. She is based in Maine, and it's nice to see other people that are in Maine. Because there aren't too many people here, and so all of the fiber people that are here I like to appreciate. So I may end up using this for my Wingardium Leviosa socks, and I may actually end up using this, which is the Manos del Uruguay Alegria. I bought this a really long time ago. Actually, I think I showed it to you on like my second episode. From the local yarn shop in Belfast that I'm going to probably today. But yeah, so I may end up using this yarn for the Wingardium Leviosa socks. I'm just not sure that the lace pattern is going to show up too well on this, so I haven't really decided that yet. And I kind of actually want to make a shawl out of these two, like a white and rainbow shawl. So I'm not sure yet. But yes, anyway, so I do have a plan. This, so this shawl, I forgot to mention, so this is by Michelle Willis. It is called the Lady of Shallot shawl. You can find it on Ravelry. You can find both of these patterns actually on Ravelry. I just have to scoot up a little bit closer here for a minute. And yeah, so there's that. So for the Lady of Shallot shawl, I'm thinking oh, there's my other work in progress. I found it. Okay. Let me finish this and then I'll tell you about that work in progress. So, I think I'm going to be using it's a Knit Picks, Chroma fingering weight. And the colors aren't really showing up because that light is still on. Why? What is my life? I thought I turned it off. Oops. Okay. Maybe the colors will actually show up now that there's not a yellow light on. Okay, let's try this again. So here is, there we go. That's it. I have a really poor lighting situation here. It's frustrating. Anyway, so it is, it's chroma fingering, and I cannot remember which colorway it is, and I do not know where I put the band. I think that it is possibly the Vermont colorway. Could be wrong. So I'm going to pair that with, so I know I only need 100 grams of sock yarn, but I am going to pair it with this white cream. So I may do the lace sections in the white and then the stockinette sections for the chroma. I'm not quite sure yet. So that will become the Lady of Shalott shawl. I think that I may extend the repeats a little bit past what the pattern calls for and make it just slightly bigger, because I do have 150 grams and I don't really want to have any leftovers of this, or of this, because I don't know what else I would use it for. So that I will be casting on fairly shortly. So we shall see. Anyway, so I do have one more work in progress, even though I moved on to my acquisitions section. So and it's going to be a really silly work in progress, so I'm using the same yarn, the Arnie and Carlos, so this is what I had left from the other ball from the sock, and so I cast on this little ribbing, and I think I'm going to make, this is a fingerless glove, so I am going to have little fingerless mittens to match my sock. But yeah, so that was a ridiculous work in progress that I probably should have just mentioned in the next episode. But I found it, yay! Anyway, so in my other acquisitions, excuse me, Kelsey, are you done? Are you done with me talking to myself? Yeah. You just huffed at me. My other acquisitions include, so those two patterns, and then I bought this, which is a scale, which has helped tremendously on my thing. So it does, oh, it's not gonna work right. It does to the 100th place. Yeah, the 100th place. Decimals on grams, so it's really useful for yarn. But yes, there's that. Oh, yawn. Are you sleepy? Yeah, are you very sleepy? Yeah, I gave him his medicine before the podcast, so he's probably just about ready to take a nap. Yeah. We get to go for a ride in the car soon. Anyway, in my other non-yarny acquisitions, I have this book called Lovecraft Country, and it's set in Chicago in 1954, and I'm really, really excited to get further into it. I've read a couple of pages and I really like it so far. It's by Matt Ruff. But yeah, so I'm really excited to read this, and I have so much time now that school is done. So that was all of my yarny acquisition content. And now I will be moving into what has generally happened in my life in the last 2 weeks. And so if you are just here for the yarn, then thank you so much for stopping by, and I will see you again in 2 weeks. And yeah, and if you liked this video, if you want to give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and then you'll be able to see when my next video comes out. But if you are sticking around, we are going to be talking about what has happened to me in the last 2 weeks. So I went to, okay, so I had, when I talked to you last, it was right before finals week, and I was really stressed out because it was almost finals week. So stressed out that I bit off all of my fingernails. Yeah. Normally I like to keep my nails painted so that I don't do that, but I have gotten, I have to get back in the habit of not biting my fingernails. They were unpainted for a day and I was really stressed out, so I just chewed all of them off. So there's that. So finals were really stressful. I had 2 finals on the same day on Monday of finals week, and they were fine. They were the first one was great. It was 75 questions, and I finished it in 45 minutes. It was honestly multiple choice, so it was really easy to just do it and get it done. There were no short answers, no essays, so it really didn't take me very long, which was great. Another final I had was a take-home final that was essay questions, and it took me like 4 hours, but I finished it and it was fine. And it was fun because it was for my film class, and the multiple choice one was for my microeconomics. And then the next test I took was statistics, and I swear there were 12 questions on the exam. I spent an hour and a half doing 8 of them, and then I couldn't do it anymore. I just said no, and I didn't answer the last 4, especially because they were on material we hadn't covered in class yet. So I don't really know how she expected us to know how to do linear regression or where to put any of the numbers into the equations that she gave us. It was quite ridiculous. But yeah, so even though I did so poorly on that exam, I got an A in the class. So I think that's fair. I'm not as bent out of shape about not doing well on that exam just because I did get an A in the class. I have all of my grades back except for 1, and I'm really annoyed that I don't have the 1. I will be making, I'm going to just preemptively say that I'm making Dean's List again this semester because I got all A's and 1 B. So all A's, I got an A in statistics and my Intro to Women, Gender, and Sexuality Studies and my film class. And I got a B in microeconomics, and my other classes, Intro to Creative Writing, and Creative Writing is the grade that I don't have yet. Anyway, so that leaves me so far with a 3.76 GPA, which another B would probably bring down to a 3.6 something. But I did all of my homework for my Intro to Creative Writing class, and I did all of my actual assignments, and I did them well, so hopefully I'll end up with an A, but if not, again, hopefully a B. Anyway, so there's that. That happened, and it's done now, and I'm super excited about it being done. And yeah, other than that, I went to a play called I Loved, I Lost, I Made Spaghetti, and it was really good. She actually cooked like a full spaghetti dinner on stage. It was really intense and awesome. She made her own pasta just like while we were watching her talk about, you know, do the script. Anyway, it was ridiculous. She's ridiculously talented. I don't think I'll ever be talented enough to tell a story and make handmade pasta to a large group of people. I don't have stage fright, but it's the fact that I wouldn't be able to concentrate on my lines while I'm trying to cook this pasta. But yeah, so that's, anyway, it was quite awesome. But yeah, so there's that. And then I've made a couple of new friends on campus, so I've hung out with them and played some old video games that I love, and yeah. I haven't really been doing much other than that. Since school stopped, I don't have work except on the weekends until the end of May, so I get to knit a lot and play video games a lot. I've been playing Fallout 4 because I have a new desktop computer, which is great. But yeah, so I've been playing Fallout 4. I've played about 30 hours of it in the last couple of weeks, which is awesome. But yeah, other than that, I haven't really been doing much. We played D&D last weekend, but we we rolled up specific characters for this like shorter campaign, and we rolled up level 15 characters, and it was really funny. If you do care about my D&D adventures, I post a lot about them on my Twitter, which is my personal Twitter and not Quarrelsome Rhinoceros Studios or Stitch's Twitter, but you can follow me over there. It's MO Littlefield. But I mostly just post random quotes from our D&D games, and that's about it. And so that's like once every 2 weeks. But once every 2 weeks I post like 12 quotes. Anyway, so my favorite thing that happened was, or one of my favorite things, I realized about halfway, about like 90% of the way done with the game, that I hadn't been adding my rage damage. So I was playing a barbarian, and I've never played a barbarian before, and barbarians really just hit things. And so they have an ability called rage where they get like extra damage and strengthy goodness. And so they get real mad and they hit things real hard. So I forgot that you get to add damage when you're raging, and like you get to add like 3 damage or something like that at level 15. And so I had to make this giant note on my character sheet that said +3 damage when rage. But I did this like at the end of our last boss fight. Like we're ending this mini campaign, and I remembered it, and so I'm never using this character again, and it was frustrating. I'll know next time when I play a barbarian to add my rage damage, because that was really frustrating. So anyway, yeah, so other than that, I haven't really been up to much. Video games, knitting. I'm hoping that I can get that Korra cardigan at least most of the way finished by the next time I podcast, which will be again in 2 weeks. This was a fairly long episode, so if it continues to be this long every 2 weeks, over the summer I may end up making it every week, but we'll see. I know during the school year I'm going to keep it to a 2 week podcast, but during the summer I'm going to have so much time to knit that I may have so much content to share that I may switch it up and make it every week. So we'll see. Yeah, I forgot to mention at the beginning, there is a ravelry group for the podcast. I made it last week, or I made it during episode 9, right after I published episode 9. So you can find all of the show notes over there from now on. And yeah, that should be good. I will actually also use that group. I will use that Ravelry group for the test knits for the hat and the shawl. So yeah. Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful 2 weeks and that you have some wonderfully creative knitting sessions. And yeah, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you again in 2 weeks. Bye.